Hey guys, just want to jump on here again. It's a great time while we're going to deliver this order, and in between here, if you are watching and you've made it this far, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button if you're liking what you're seeing so far right now. But the best way you can show support for the channel is just to hit the subscribe button, and then let YouTube know that you care, so you don't miss any of the action, tips, and tricks. All right, guys, I will see you at the... All right, guys, how you doing? It's Dad Dash Industries here. I wanted to do the deep dive as promised. I hope you guys enjoyed the vlog here. It did get a little bit long, but I really want to show you when I'm doing these drive-alongs and ride-alongs and the vlogging. I want you to see exactly what I see in my market. I want you to see a real perspective. So when you come in and you're like, hey, what does this mean, especially for the new drivers? What does it look like to be a DoorDash driver, or really, I don't even want to say DoorDash driver because that's insinuating that I'm an employee of DoorDash, but really, what's it look to be a gig worker right now? And it shows you kind of a day in the life, the ups, the downs, the fun, and shows you what's it like to be a gig business owner today, because that's what we are. We are business owners. We own our own gig business, and I think that that's an important distinction that we need to be making at all times, understanding that we are gig business owners, that we own the business, and that this is a business that we own and are generating revenue for. And I think that once you start to think of it like that, it really starts to bring into perspective your approach and things of that nature. So the first order of the day, let's jump right in here, was Uber Eats. It was a stacked order, okay? Now, I just split it up to make it equal the original, okay? And in fairness to Uber Eats here, it ended up equaling the amount that I saw on my screen. So I wanted to make sure that I was fair to Uber Eats when I was just making that distinction, because it would appear here that the first order was less than offered, and then the Arby's order was more. That was not necessarily how it went down, but I wanted to make that distinction. So if we look at this in a vacuum, we did about 23 miles for about $17. So not the greatest miles to money, but this was the entrance to the market order. And what I mean by that is some of those miles, the 19 miles driven, were not all on the order. They were driven before to get into market from when I turned on my app and started going live. So you want to kind of look at this, the projected hourly on the first one was $12.84. The second one, I always begin the second of a stacked order from the moment I drop off the first one. So you can see you can almost kind of weight those two together and look at the fact that essentially we earned, like $17, and it was a little bit less than an hour. So it was probably about a $20 an hour order, really. But the second of the two weighted out at $35.73. And the first one was $12.84. Now, one of the things I want to look at here is you can see that I immediately got an order right away for GRUB. And that was because as I was dropping off the order, I got immediately GRUB made an offer, which was very, very nice. And they made an offer of $9.57. Now, the reason why I like working for GRUB is they tell you everything at the beginning. Their transparency is A+. They show you the miles. They show you the money. They are, in my opinion, the driver's app, and it's the one that everybody should strive to work for because they make your life a lot easier. They give you as a business owner all the information you need to make a strong, sound business decision for your business and decide if that's somebody you want to partner up and make money for that day. So they made an offer to me, extended that offer for $9.57, ended up being 4 miles traveled, $2.39 per mile for that offer. It was a great one. And a 2.92% miles to pay ratio. So it was an excellent, excellent miles to pay ratio. And I ended up with a projected hourly rate of $20.51. It did take 28 minutes, and some of that was because I had to wait a little bit at the pickup point, because that is a very busy little market and the line gets long, so you can't get back to where you need to access, and they keep all the orders behind the counter. So it's just something you got to be aware of, and those are little tidbits. I knew that going in, but I kind of was like, hey, I've already made like $17. This is going to give me a great shot of getting like a 20, close to $25 hour by picking this up right at the end of the last hour. So I went ahead and took it. And also it was just a great miles to money ratio as well. Now, Freddy's Sub was the next one I got for $12. I got that one, again, 1 minute after I got done with the, with the Locust Point, order. And that one ended up taking me 43 minutes. It ended up being $16.74. And the issue at hand, as you're going to see in the video of that one, was it wasn't ready. I attempted to get an Arby's order. I had to make an ethical business decision to not take that Arby's order. So I was not able to monetize my weight. And as a result, I absorbed the full amount of that weight. So it really was not a very profitable order. It was not the right order. It ended up being 9 miles traveled as well. So it wasn't the greatest order all around. At least it was over $1. So I got $1.33 per mile. So that ended my lunch shift. I left after that. I wasn't very pleased with how the day went, but I, that Freddy's order was a killer. And again, I have since attempted to make some amendments to how I approach these orders now. And, that's the type of information I like to take when I dig into these numbers. And I'm like, okay, we got to know our restaurants. And I should have never taken a $12 order necessarily for Freddy's, or I should have considered dropping the order and trying to find something else. But it was kind of a slower day. I tried to monetize. Things just didn't work out. One of those things. So we came back on for dinner, got into the market and took our first order at 6:23. It was a $21.32 order. Obviously, $21 order looks great. It turned out to absolutely position us terribly for the rest of the shift, and it really was a drag on the earnings for the shift at the end of the day. So ended up being that we drove 28 miles. Now, some of those miles were coming into the market, okay? But the real issue at hand was it took us 48 minutes to complete the order, and then we didn't get another order until 7:33, which was almost 22 minutes after we dropped that off, and that was the problem. And by that time, it was the middle of the market. We were kind of in an end of the market that didn't necessarily position us. Well, let's put it this way. We didn't get the next offer we took was not from a restaurant that was positioned at the end of the market that I was hoping to get an order from, but I didn't get anything from it. I think the next order I took too soon and should have waited a little bit to see if something came that was closer and maybe a little bit bigger. And I was taking a gamble because it was a Red Lobster order and it was an Uber Eats order that maybe there was some extra tip that I wasn't seeing. Turned out there was not. So this order really turned out to be a really, really, really unprofitable order. It was $9.50, 21 miles, and those were all travel. That was the return and to the restaurant. So it ended up being a 45-cent per mile. I mean, again, that's terrible. It really was a absolutely terrible decision to take that order. I thought there could be more money or more, maybe a big tip in there that was going to balance it out. It wasn't. You can see it right here in the miles to pay ratio is 15%. You're not going to make money doing that. And that was a terrible, 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 terrible order. It only took 20 minutes. Okay. And the projected hourly wasn't bad. Okay. So that tells you, it wasn't necessarily bad from the perspective of when I took the order, but because I'd had all that time, right, that it took me to get back in there, I really needed to go with a beefed up order that made sense, that was low miles, and this was not it, right? And those are some of the things you got to be able to see as you're going, and I didn't necessarily pay attention to that, and it ended up biting me in the end. Wait time wasn't bad. So then I got off that order, all right, and let's see, how did we do next? Well, it got even worse because the positioning on that order, clearly, what does it tell us about the positioning? Well, you can see that in these numbers right here. That's all you need to know. It took us 41 minutes to get another order, okay? That right here, the time between orders, and if you're active and you weren't doing something else or turning off the app, that right there tells you this was a terribly positioned order. Learn from it. go back, reflect on it. If you're taking screenshots of the map, which I recommend you do, I don't always catch them every single time. I'm terrible at doing screenshots. That's why they don't end up in my video, because I'll forget all the time doing it. Plus, it's just a lot to do when you're driving and I'm trying to analyze orders. But I recommend the best thing to do is if you can take some screenshots, especially if you know it's going to be a questionable order, take a look and recognize. Also, utilize, if you can, if you're using an external mapping app, flag that order for later. But in this case, I really didn't have much to look back at, except just to say that I remember taking it. I remember all of the information. I know it took me way out to the corner of the market that was problematic and way far away from my shopping center, or too far out from my shopping center to be. And we just didn't recover from that because we ended up back at that shopping center with a Red Robin order. And again, this was one that we were hoping was going to generate a little bit of extra, and it didn't. There was nothing extra generated. It was exactly what was shown. And it ended up being a stacked order again. Again, be leery of those stacked orders because we ended up traveling 35 miles. And that was because I drove around afterwards. Because when I got done with that order, I ended up way out, farther out than I intended. Drove back, took a longer route back thinking I could go get orders. It was just a mess. You saw it in the videos. You're seeing it in the videos. You guys have already seen it. You already know the disaster that this shift became. And for me, it was I'm always learning, even now, just the mistakes not to make. And these orders were definitely ones, because it ended up being a 24 cent per mile ratio. On this particular order ended up being a $19.20 projected hourly. And you can see right here, that you can see that this first order, the real issue here that came into play actually, and actually because of it was a stacked, the last order here is the one that was the best order to take, and Uber sent me on a lemon of an order on this last one, which took me 26 minutes to go after I dropped off the first order. So let's go back here and show you what I'm talking about. So I picked up the orders. You can see here, picked up at 8:19, picked up at 8:21, whatever. Pickup was fine. But this order right here was actually the first one that needed to be delivered. So the BJ's order right here only was a 6-mile order. So I went to go drop that off, right? And this one was great, $27 an hour. But then the second order drove my miles up. This is actually, I was saying that this was miles traveled that this was miles traveled because of the last order. But looking at this, let's see here. Yeah, 965. This was actually miles traveled to the location and of the order. As you see right here, yeah, we drove about 6 miles total. That was to go pick up the order, make the first drop off, and then we ended up way down the road, man. I mean, again, this was a terrible order, and this is what Uber Eats does. They hide the orders. I saw the BJ's order. I did not see the Red Robin order, or I saw, the BJ's order, which was the better of the two. And it was all the way down, way down the street, way out of my zone. And it was a terrible order. So anyways, let's dig into the numbers here, where everything ended up. That's the breakdown, showing you the financials of these orders and how you can look at it. And again, these are things you should be taking a moment and looking at during the shift. Had I looked at some of these things closer and paid attention to them, although I was filming, so sometimes it gets distracting, I could have maybe made some changes on the fly, but I didn't do that. And what we ended up with was an absolutely one of the worst days I've had in a very, very, very long time in terms of just metrics and numbers. First off, 126 miles driven, $39 in base pay, $46.56 in total tips. While those are not terrible numbers, the total for the day is absolutely atrocious. $86.38. All right. That was really, really poor. $18.58 an hour, 8 dashes. we come down here and we dig a little bit deeper into these numbers. Dollars per mile ended up 69 cents. Average average miles per dash was 15 miles per dash or per delivery. The average per minute was an anemic 31 cents. And then we ended up with an average of only $10 per order, which is, again, for me, it's not bad. I like it to be that, $10. That's solid. For the day, our wait time was a little high, 6 minutes, a little over 6 minutes. But ultimately, we ended up working about 4.5 hours, just over 4.5 hours for the day. Our delivery hourly, and that tells you a lot too about just even the delivery minutes. If this isn't north of $25, I've made a lot of bad and poor decisions. And in this case, I did. I did not make good decisions on this shift. There was a lot to learn from. I worked 233 minutes or just under 4 hours delivering, and it was $22.24 an hour for delivery time. So not great at all. Now, driving those large high miles, okay, as you know, I told you, we made $86.38 in gross revenue. We were able to keep, after expenses, $80.47. Now, our gas expense, and again, I drive a Prius, so this is really, really high for a shift we only made $84 in. After you took out the gas miles, the actual cost of the gas miles, we ended up with a $74.67 profit for the day, so to speak. And that's not good at all when you're taking into account, because that tells you just how heavy the expense side was, and it was heavy that day, that the actual gas mileage cost was $8.80. So lots to take home and learn, guys, from that. That's a deep dive into the numbers. We didn't hit our 100th that day. Had we worked a full 8-hour shift, we absolutely would have. Had I put more time in, we absolutely would have hit those numbers, but we didn't. And it was a disappointing day. But it's those type of days that you want to look back and say, hey, listen, what mistakes did I make? It wasn't a highly profitable day for the business. Let's look at the relationships we took on. If you're going to notice one thing that was missing, which is kind of interesting, it was all Grubhub and Uber Eats. And that's where, again, having the proper mix. DoorDash has its place. And one of the things DoorDash can do is it can kind of help you keep your miles down, because DoorDash actually does the best job out of all of them in keeping your distance reasonable. Grubhub will send you all over the place if you're not careful. And in this case, I wasn't careful. And Uber Eats, they are normally on individualized orders. They're normally pretty good. But this new way of presenting stacked orders is an absolutely terrible way of doing it. And it's made me even consider possibly not taking stacked orders any longer from Uber Eats. But we'll have to see, going forward. I'm going to continue to evaluate that as I'm breaking down these shifts myself and on camera on whether or not stacked orders will be a part. And you'll find that there was a upcoming shift that you're going to see where I think that issue is going to be further explored about what my position is and what we're going to do as far as stacked orders and things of that nature on Uber Eats. But that's for another day. Guys, I really appreciate you watching. If you're interested in any of these sheets, as always, please contact me at dad-13@gmail.com. I'm happy to share with any other business owners out there so that you can help your business and help become as profitable as you possibly can. Guys, keep dashing, keep doing it, keep working your business, keep focusing on the numbers, and you will be profitable. Just keep working your process. Develop your process. Make sure you're doing something to collect data so that you can continue to assess yourself and continue to assess the business relationships that you have for your business, and keep the ones that make sense. Get rid of the ones that don't. Make the changes to how you're to the contracts you're willing to accept and the ones you're not. Keep moving forward with the goal to make a profit every day. All right, guys, I will be talking to you soon. I really appreciate all of you watching. Please like the video if you got something. Dislike if you didn't. Either one helps with the algorithms. Also, make a comment if you can. Share with me what you're doing for your business. Share with me business ideas you have, ways you're trying to make your business profitable. And most importantly, if you can subscribe. I would really, really, really appreciate it, guys. I'm trying to grow this channel, and I really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button if you haven't, and I know about probably 99.9995% have not. So, guys, appreciate it. Wrapping it up. I appreciate it if you made it this far and you watched this entire series. There's going to be more vlogs coming, more days coming, more videos coming, more discussions coming. I hope we can grow this channel, and guys, I look forward to interacting with you and talking with you, in the near future. All right, guys, thank you so much, and have a good evening, have a good day, and I will talk to you soon.